Welcome to Booked, the bookstore education podcast brought to you by the American Booksellers Association. In this episode, we'll be listening to You've Got Book Mail, Creative Approaches to Order Processing and Shipping, a session that was presented at Winter Institute 2025 in Denver, Colorado.
All right, we're going to start getting going. Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah? Okay. Welcome. We are in, where are we? We're in You've Got Book Mail, Creative Approaches. It's early. I'm going to make a note for Lee to cut this out for when they cut for book ed. Anyways, welcome to You've Got Book Mail. We're going to talk about the housekeeping slides that everybody has seen a million times by now. All of the slides and handouts are in the app, and it's also in the program. We're going to remind you multiple times to fill out the session survey because it helps them with planning for next year. All the recordings will be on BookWeb and BookEd. Silence your phones and devices. And if there are questions, please wait for Anne, the room minder, for a microphone. Everything is recorded, like I said earlier. So you guys have all seen this as well multiple times. The antitrust guidelines means we're not going to create a cult and talk about pricing. You've seen this a million times. I also want to thank Ingram, the lead sponsor of this event, and all of the other publisher sponsors. We're going to talk about our description of this. I always think about when I was small and getting mail was such a huge thing. It didn't matter. I mean, my mom would give me the little magazine handouts of like, oh, here, it's a perfume scent. So I feel like I want to bring that vibe from my store to shipping it. I want them to be excited to get book mail. And so that's what we're going to talk about here and the process of packing and shipping it. We're going to talk about bringing down the cost of shipping while still making it special to your customer and creating a community outside of your doors. So we'll talk about all kinds of the getting started with it or tips and tricks that we have found along the way that maybe you guys can tailor to your store. So we're going to start with our introductions, and we're going to have name, bookstore location, and the title of the book you've mailed the most in recent time. So my name is Alexa. My bookstore is on the Oregon coast in Seaside, Oregon, and it's called Beach Books. We've been around for almost 20 years this November. The answer everybody is going to have for what we've shipped the most in recent time is Onyx Storm, obviously. So we're going to get crazy. Not Onyx Storm. Mine is by an Oregon author. Her name is Megan Lally, and her book just came out early January, and it was No Place Left to Hide. That was the most we've shipped in recent time.
My name is Chelsea. I have been at UNAV Books in Knoxville, Tennessee for 15 years, which is as long as the bookstore has been in existence. And the book we have shipped out the most recently is Demon Copperhead.
I'm Kat Bach. I'm from Parnassus Books in Nashville, Tennessee. I've been there for 12 or 13 years at this point. And our most recent big shipment was our first editions pick for the last month, which was Memorial Days by Geraldine Brooks.
Hi, I'm Jamie Thomas. I am at Women and Children First in Chicago. I have been there for 10 years. I'm the director of operations there. I am a newly added panelist. My coworker was not able to come. I just texted my coworkers and I got a last minute ad of what the most shipped item was. We had a bulk order for 120 copies of individually shipped items of the Chicago Neighborhood Guide at Christmas time. So that was our most recent bulk shipment.
Oh. All right, so we're going to talk about the fundamentals first. So our biggest thing is that book mail is community. We talk about our community locally, but we think book mail, the community is like you're involved still with the bookstore. So people who maybe have found you during the pandemic and they want to support you. And so they might have found you from your social media and they see how they can be involved from far away. So do you guys want to talk about your mailing experiences during the pandemic?
We were lucky enough to get onto an e-commerce right before the pandemic, and it really saved us. We're about 40 minutes from Dollywood and the Great Smoky Mountains, so we had a lot of people who had been through town during the pandemic, had been through town when they were visiting, and so we were shipping to Oregon and California and New York. And it was really like lovely. And a lot of them are still customers that will, there's one woman who is probably one of our best customers, period. I've never met her. I've talked to her on the phone many times, but she started in the pandemic and she orders bulk order like every month. And so it's huge.
Yeah, we were lucky enough that we had always had a little bit of an e-commerce business, to the point where back when I first started there, it was what I did for maybe a couple hours a day. It was not a full-time job to process our online orders, but the pandemic has ramped it up to the point that we have a couple full-time people that are now on that all day, every day, which is really fantastic. And we thought it would slow down. It has not. And I think it's a lot due to social media engagement, stuff like that. And also the fact that we take our time and we make it really personal. We write notes to people on their orders, and try to make it so that even if you're ordering from out of state or, a more rural spot in Tennessee, that if you can't make it to the store, we can still bring the store to you.
So you might have seen me do a panel on online orders at the start of the pandemic. But my store, at the start of the pandemic, we were at 6,000 on online orders for the history of our store. When I left the store, we were at 80,000. So clearly we had a big uptick, and we shipped everything during the pandemic. And we still probably get about, I would say 20 or 30 orders a day. So it is part of our daily routine. There's somebody who is on what we call pendings, to do the processing of our online orders. And it's not the same person every day, but it is an assigned task.
How many of you all use book mail? How many do you all ship? Yeah. It's a whole second storefront for a lot of us, of like, if it's a slow time inside of your store, it doesn't mean it's going to be a slow season for shipping books. How do you all only ship in the United States, or do you ship worldwide?
We did a pre-order campaign for a local author that ended up being like 800 books that we shipped internationally, and it was just too much for us. So I have done it, and I think it's great if you have the capacity to do it. We just don't. We're just too small. But I do think there's definitely like a market there for sure.
We do ship internationally. For our subscription clubs, we have one lovely gentleman up in Canada who has been a subscriber for probably about 10 years now. He sends a photo of his dog every month. His name is Bodie. He's great. But yeah, so we do ship international, and we have pricing kind of set for Canada, and we evaluate those prices every so often. I won't talk about how we do that, because we're not starting a cult. But yeah, so we do evaluate that. And then anything like to Europe or anything, people just have to call, and we will like price that individually for them. So it's a little bit more manual. It only happens maybe once or twice a month, like at the most, maybe not for a couple months. But so we just kind of do it on a case by case basis. Yeah.
We don't. We just don't. We had a couple of people that tried, but it's very difficult for us. So I appreciate people that can do it.
We don't either.
So if anybody here is the expert on shipping internationally, come find us.
That's so true. All right, so we're going to work on this. So from the pandemic, I became a hoarder of cardboard. I can make you so many things out of a box or a sheet of cardboard, and give me a box cutter and set me free. So we're going to talk about how do you utilize your space in your store? How did you find space in your store? So for us, we have a balcony, and so we used to do lunch in the loft with authors, and so they would have lunch and get the book, and there'd be a set price. From the pandemic, we actually needed to utilize that whole space as our office space and our shipping stations and all of that. So did you have any of that issues, or how did you work around it?
We're in a very old TVA building that's like 100 years old, so there's not a ton of space. We do have a very small back room that we did convert. We had custom shelving put in there, but it is a constant struggle, and just there are always things under the tables out front. Like you just kind of have to shove boxes where you can. And if you've got a really good if a good sturdy box, like Norton especially has a good sturdy box, like I hoard Norton boxes, and there's a spot, and if anyone moves them, I get very upset.
I hoard Penguin #2 boxes.
Yeah, those are good too. They're so good. So You just kind of have to and it's part of the charm, right? You're coming into a small indie bookstore and you're like, I see the process happening in front of me.
Our receiver he's fantastic and has worked in many, many bookstores. And so he evaluates the boxes. He knows. And so he'll save boxes. We also order just large quantities, literally as many boxes as we can fit. We will order them to maximize our discount. During the pandemic, the entire center of the sales floor just became a shipping center since there was no browsing. That has obviously since changed. And we had to actually rent extra shipping space. We're in a strip mall, which is very charming. There's a really great donut shop around the corner. And there's a business building kind of across the parking lot. And so we rented out space there. And without doing that, I don't know that we would have been able to increase our shipping volume in the way that we have.
During the height of the pandemic and the shutdown, we every table in the store was just a pile of books that had a post-it that said, waiting on this, waiting on that, waiting on this, with the order number. But yeah, we do hoard boxes. We also order, and we might be talking about this later, but we also order in bulk from stamps.com, the different size mailers. It's size 2, size 5, whatever. And we still have what we call the processing table, which is, as of 2 weeks ago, is no longer on the sales floor. But for the longest time, it was just on the sales floor. And it was just a smaller version of that thing where there was a stack of books with a rubber band around it with a Post-it that said, these are the books in the order. This is what we're still waiting on. And then once everything came, it just moved to the now ship that.
We created we had some extra shelving and have a staging area where orders that need to be pulled get set, and booksellers throughout the day will come and pull the orders. And then there's a separate shelf where this order is completed. We don't have all the books for this order to keep it organized.
We do that too. It just makes things easier.
Ours is the more notes, the better.
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, and you and I label it. I'll be 1, 2, and 3, and then waiting on 4, and then I'll put in parentheses. This is coming from what we call Ingram 2, which is where it's coming from, or whatever the case may be. So being as specific as possible so that anyone can pick it up in the process is my key. Anyone should be able to pick up anything in the middle of the process.
We don't have a subscription book club. It's a dream of ours, but I feel it's very daunting to start and keep up and find neat things for every single box that you want to ship out. And so, Kat, are you the only one that has a subscription box here?
I guess so, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So we have 5 subscription clubs now, which is really fantastic. They range in size pretty drastically. There are some that are a handful of books we might need to get 2 cartons. We have a first editions club for adults, primarily literary fiction. We have a romance book club that is obviously paperback originals. They are not always signed by the author. The first editions club is, which makes it extra. Talk about you have to coordinate the author coming, signing. We have had 2 books that have not been true signed copies. One was during the pandemic, and you got to pivot during that, and then the other was Now Williams, because we couldn't get him into the U.S. in time.
What did your Google reviews look like after that?
Not bad. No, they were fine. We communicated with our customers beforehand and said, hey, this is the reason why this. Oh, and also I think there was someone else where she had a wrist issue where she couldn't sign it. Oh, I think it was Barbara Kingsolver for something. That might have just been an event. Yeah. So we just communicate to the customers and say, this is the deal. If you need to opt out of it, we totally understand. It won't count against your book, or, you won't get charged. If you want to substitute, we can handle that. So I think just setting really clear expectations with the customers so that no one's surprised, and everyone was fine with it. We had a couple people that were I want to opt out, but they totally understood. So we have the First Editions Club, the Love Parnassus, the Romance Box. We have a YA club. We have a middle grade club called Spark, and then a picture book club called Sprout. And for each of those, you can pick up in the store, you can get it shipped to you, and there are international options, although there aren't that many of those. It's a lot to manage. It used to be when there were just 3 of them, that was one of my roles. We now have a person that just handles that all the time. Talk to me about CRMs. If you know any alternatives to Zoho, I want to hear them. Seriously. But yeah, so packing and shipping for that is a whole separate ball game because, the first step is you get the books picked, you get them ordered, you get the authors booked, all that good stuff. And then you've got all the signed books, and what do you do? So we have separate packing shifts just for those. That didn't used to be the case, and it was like a mad scramble in the morning to be like, okay, do we have enough people on the floor? Did someone call out sick? We want these books to go out on time because we told our customers that they would get there, and we owe it to them to uphold that. So we have a separate, when I make the schedule, there's a separate shipping line. So if you come in and you were assigned to the shipping center, you know that that's what you're doing. And people kind of fight over it because they want to be able to put on their headphones and just have a nice quiet day packing stuff. It's kind of relaxing. I love it. Yeah. So is that?
Yeah, that's another bonus of if you have huge piles to ship. The ALC list on Libro FM is fantastic.
Add, I think that's actually a picture from when we did have subscriptions, because we did have subscriptions for a while, and I just want to add that you can do them periodically and then decide, I'm done. So when we did do them, we opened them up for a very limited amount of time. So it would be like, you can sign up for our romance book box, which I led for a while, and you can do it for the 6-month option or the 12-month option. But then once that time period is up, you can't add later. And that really helps if you are a small staff, so that you don't have to do rolling, make sure that you are on top of somebody that just signed up and know how many more boxes they have. And then when we did do it, we often would reach out to publishers to say, do you have any swag? Do you have any stickers? Do you have anything extra to go with this? Do you have bookmarks? Things like that.
The one thing to be careful about if you're doing that and they send something, we email all of our subscription boxes media rate. That might not be the case forever, if that's the case now. But we can't include pins with that. It's only the book material. So we can, slip in a bookmark, but really if it's media rate, legally, we can't do any more than that. So that does limit the publisher swag, which is unfortunate. Yeah, and we had a separate line for subscription shipping for that was you're going to pay $30 for 3 boxes, $10 a box. When we did the subscription, we haven't done them in about a year because it was a lot of work. So just be aware that if you are going to do it, you need to have the staffer that can do it. But it is a good revenue driver if you do have the staff, if you do have the enthusiasm behind it. And we, in terms of how to structure it on the back end, I would say if you're thinking about it, make sure that it's scalable. What works for, a subscription that has 25 members is not going to work for a subscription club that has 300. So think about scalability. And we do monthly memberships. So essentially, if it's for yourself, you get charged, the price every month. And then we do prepaid memberships. I know some stores that only do prepaid memberships. So you don't have to do monthly charges, and the prepaid ones give you money just the same.
Yeah, that's what we did. It was you could do a year for $300, and that was 6 boxes. It was $50 a box. And you got 2 books and a sideline, and then you could pay for shipping extra, that kind of thing.
Have you found that it has brought different customers? They might not just only be getting a subscription box, but they however you ship things or,
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, the big driver, the elephant in the room is that we have Ann Patchett. That having an Ann helps. So we know that whenever she talks about the First Editions Club specifically, that's a big driver, and we see an uptick in numbers, which is obviously something very unique to us, but it's to the power of social media, really.
And at our store, because we are a feminist bookstore, and we did a romance book box, and people knew, hey, they're going to have feminist romance. Or we did it was Quen's queer fantasy box. And it was just people were oh, that's going to be really rad. My coworker Sarah adopted a baby, and she did a baby book bundle box, and people were just I want to see what Sarah's giving her baby. So really capitalizing on your staff is really great.
So we're going to talk about the challenges of shipping, which we've touched on a couple of these things about the affordable materials. We are very much cardboard hoarders. At our store, we try our hardest to not buy shipping material. We will reuse everything. Macmillan sends these really nice bubble things in their boxes that you can detach, and they fit perfectly one by one alongside of the Penguin number 2 boxes. So do you guys want to talk about, do you buy them or?
We have a stash of mailers in different sizes just for like a one-off shipping. And then we rewrap everything in butcher paper. And then you can also customize. You can write on it. You can put stickers on it. And then it adds like an extra level of like, oh, they care kind of, like it's a little bit more protection. And but we hoard like all the bubble wrap, all the wrapping, like everything gets reused same way, like just cutting costs every way that we can.
Yeah.
I think the only time that we actually bought bubble wrap was during the pandemic. And it was like an industrial revolt that I got to like sit on top of, which was fun. That is my coworker, Barnabas. He loves boxes as well. So we, for our like, just like online order fulfillment, we don't reuse the publisher boxes as much just because they're sometimes too large. But like if someone does order a hefty amount, 100% we do. And we generally don't buy packing material unless it's for our subscription clubs because there's like branding around that. But everything that comes out of the store is almost always reused packaging. And our receiver unboxes it. There's a giant industrial like trash bag next to him that gets filled up every day, and we just move it into the place where we process orders.
Yeah. Same. We do, like I said, buy mailers in bulk, and that's mostly because we have a corporate and bulk salesperson who does, she'll do shipments for 100 copies of a book to a book club for Indivisible or whatever the case may be. But we definitely hoard the boxes from the publishers. We hoard all the packing materials. We also are a pickup or drop-off location for this nonprofit called EcoShip, where people can just drop off their mailing material that they can't recycle, which is very messy. It's right outside of my office door, which my office is a closet, but it's right outside my office door, and it's just like piles of crap. And a lot of that is honestly Amazon packaging. But I will find the bubble wrap in there if we really need it.
That's a good idea. I think everyone's looking like, can we help with these? So without talking about pricing, numbers, and things, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of the different shipping methods that we use for our stores that seem to work. So we supply books for Oregon State University's library, and so it's in the same state. So Pirate Ship is the best option for us to do that. It's cheaper than media mail for us. It's USPS, I think, and they get it within a day, and it's usually a lot cheaper. But we ship everything media mail. We don't give them any other options on our website either, because I think did they take that option off? I don't know, but
they still have it. You
can.
Ship?
Pirate Ship, yes, but no on our website. Like if you buy it from us, you can select how do you want it to send, and we say media mail only or pickup.
We just recently we've been on Indie Commerce 2.0 for a month. So if anybody has any questions, come find me. I'd love to talk to you about it. So we decided to opt into doing UPS as well, and a lot of people are taking advantage of that. And I think it's just that in Tennessee, they shut down one of our UPS or United States Postal Service processing centers. So sometimes books are going to Memphis, which is fully 7 hours away from Knoxville, and then coming back. So I think people are seeing that in like everything that they purchase. So they're opting. The reason we did that is because more and more people were asking about it. And so, but we only do stamps.com. I've heard great things about Pirate Ship. I probably should look into it, but right now we're just stamps.
We used to use stamps, and they were fine, but we use Pirate Ship now and really like it. And we essentially offer our folks 2 different shipping methods: media rate, which we kind of refer to as uninsured, and then we offer insured, which for us is kind of an umbrella term that we use for priority and ground, because we have UPS pickup. And we kind of did the math on it and figured out what works for us on that front. And so whether you're shipping in the store or shopping online, you get the option of either one of those. And then, like I said, all of our subscription clubs go media rate. The other one that we didn't put on here was Ingram Direct to Home.
Yeah,
and we definitely use that too, especially if we get like an order where it's like 4 copies of a book and we've got 3 of them in store. One of them's in stock in Laverne. We'll ship them the 3 that we have in the store, and then we'll direct to home the last one, which does incur a little bit of an extra cost, but we end up finding that it works out well.
We don't do media mail anymore. We did nothing but media mail at the beginning of the pandemic, but in Chicago, it goes to Pennsylvania. And it was ridiculous, but it took us a lot of tinkering to find things about how to find tracking. And it's uninsured, and it was just too much trouble, and our customers were willing to pay for the priority mail. So we stopped doing media mail. We primarily use stamps.com, but we do pirate ship for our bulk shipments, for like the corporate sales and things like that.
Our big, huge tip is to make friends. Be friends with your postal workers. There's one woman at my local post office that she's my sweetheart, because when I first met her, she was so angry with everyone. And I was like, I hate the public too. And she's like, we're best friends. So make friends with them. Sometimes they'll drop off your boxes for you to fill, and they'll come back and pick them up, and it'll save you a trip to the post office, which is really helpful on some days. Yeah. Managing customer expectations. Not everybody is obsessed with getting their book on Tuesday release day. We all know the fandoms that we're talking about that is obsessed with Tuesday. Do you have anything of managing their expectations except for,
I will say that I've noticed more and more the people who are pre-ordering things from a billionaire, they're not getting it on Tuesdays.
Especially Onyx Storm.
Especially Onyx Storm.
Did we get it on Tuesday? Sorry.
Okay. So we did a midnight release party, and we had a lot of people the week before panic calling, and luckily I had ordered a bunch more. But I think we're going to get farther and farther away from people expecting like Tuesday shipping, because I don't think it really exists much anymore anyway. And people are being a little bit more choosy with how they spend their money. So I think if you set expectations at the beginning, like when we get these books in, we will ship it out to you. Or sometimes I say, it comes out on Tuesday, we'll get it in the mail when we get it on Tuesday. So like they know that. And I don't think most people care.
We'll write on the order saying, like, we'll get it to you as close to pub day as we possibly can. Yeah. So it kind of manages it of you're not going to maybe get it.
Yeah, we do the same thing. And then we also, on the back end, especially if we have like a large pre-order campaign, or if it's around like an event that we're having that we did like signed pre-orders in advance of the event, we'll have like a meeting with our orders team of like, okay, we've broken out like all of the out-of-state people that are doing media rate that are like farther away. We can ship their books on a Friday, and we know they're not going to arrive on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. That way we can get those out of here. And then on like, Saturday we can schedule someone that's packing stuff. And then like on Monday we have like the in-state shipments get picked up and obviously for that, we're talking larger volume, you know. But for us, that's been helpful. Also just in order to break up the work a little bit.
Yeah. We do a lot of messaging. Like I have an online order, pre-order Google Doc, and I do all of my like checking on Wednesdays to see if we're going to get the book in time. And then on Sundays, we message people to say your book is going to be ready on Tuesday. And if it isn't in by then, we will let them know there's been a delay. So it's kind of like we will let them know it is here. It will ship on Tuesday.
There's not as much like pushback as I've noticed the last like 3 or 4 years. Really, there's not as much like anger about that.
Yeah, and also when people place the order to be shipped, I have stopped saying your book is really going to be released on April 14th. I say your book is being set to release in April. I have stopped putting specific dates in my messaging. Just too many books are being pushed. Even if it's by a week, I'm not giving them a date. We
kind of touched on this earlier about staffing for larger shipments. And these types of things, but I think it would be more helpful to talk about the scams and how indie commerce will flag orders and how do we deal with the scam emails.
It's tough because they will also flag VPNs, and especially where we are close to Oak Ridge Laboratories, and everybody who works at Oak Ridge and is ordering anything, it will be a VPN. So what we've started doing, about a year and a half ago, our world got rocked by them. So we have started implementing, like, if it's been flagged, if it doesn't match, if things look kind of shady, just call them, because that's the easiest way. They're not going to be mad if you called and it is their order, and they're going to be grateful if you called and it isn't. So that's the easiest way that we've found.
And take your time processing the orders too. That's also a good way to like make sure that you're not pulling the wrong edition of something on a different note. But yeah, so like checking, does like the name and the email match the name on the order? If you have like two really different shipping addresses and just like something's not adding up, like looking at all the little details, which is tedious, but important. And calling.
Yeah, and I've been seeing something just in the past couple of months that I just sent an email to my staff last week about, which is people ordering from out of state to another address to a different state that looks legit. Everything looks right, but the email is something like fast mail, pro mail, something weird that you've never really seen. And even if you Google the address, it looks like a legit address, but it's almost always going to be for like a bestseller like The Women or James or something that you have on your front table, and it's one book and it's like $38 with shipping, and you think, this looks legit. Give that person a call. Because it is almost invariably, it's like the new scam. They're trying to get you to they're trying to see if this credit card is going to work, and then they're going to go on a shopping spree with it somewhere else. And then you're going to get charged back on it.
And we say call and not email because the scammers will just email you. And then you can't actually verify anything. So
we canceled one, and then the person was like, hey, what's my tracking number? And we were like, oh, we had to cancel that because we had some issues with the credit card. And then once we pushed back, they never responded again. They were like, oh, they're on to me. And
This is one of my favorite topics to talk about, is how do we curate to make us different and stand out? Because my name is Alexa. Okay, somebody took my name. Why are you going to order from a real life Alexa rather than a machine Alexa is my biggest thing. And so in the pandemic, where we really gained traction is I want you to feel like you've walked into our store and that our love is with you. So we hand wrap every single one of our boxes, unless we have a massive pre-order. You don't need to wrap hundreds of them. But we hand wrap them all in the Indie Next List sheets that we get shipped out every month from ABA. And we write little positive affirmations on them. Or if it is somebody's staff favorite, we tell them that on the thing. We always add in our bookmark, but we also try and add in an ARC that's already out, because we have so many of them. And so we curate it to the genre of whatever their order is. Or if we know them, if they're repeat customers, and we're like, oh, this is for such and such. And so they'll be so excited to get this. And then it gains traction because they create unboxing videos. And then people want to know, where did you get it? And then they come to your website or your social media. So how do you all make your book mail stand out?
We do, we wrap everything and then we write notes. Everybody gets a bookmark. Sometimes I will slip in stickers. We do arcs that are already out, especially if like there's been a delay or something goes wrong with the order. Like I feel like that's a nice, like, hey, sorry, please come back. But yeah, I think it's just, there's something about, even just wrapping it, like, I think that's such a difference from getting it from anywhere else that you go to buy a book. It's just like, oh, a person held this. It wasn't just like shoved into, and the book is more protected. Like, sometimes we get books from publishers that are not wrapped well. So, and that upsets me. So I think that just, you can tell that a person put a little bit of time into it.
Since we do a lot of media mail, we do not wrap like the online order books that come through via media mail, because if the post office opens that, then they will just send it back to you. I had that happen to my Christmas gifts one year. Yes, that I found out the hard way. It was to my sister. It was fine. So it happens very rarely, but like they can do that. So in the interest of just like erring on the side of caution, we do not wrap our media mail books, but you can see a photo of our little package for Parnassus Next, which is our YA club. There's crinkle paper, which is its own fun thing to pack with, and it haunts my dreams. We match, you can see one of the books that's wrapped kind of behind it in the yellow tissue paper. We match like tissue paper that goes with the cover of the book. We have a little sticker that we close it with, and then a little bookmark and that goes with it. And then the little sign thing that says Parnassus Next is like a little like sheet that goes in there with like something fun about the book. For our first editions club, we do a letter from someone on staff about why we loved it. But just for like our like regular old like online orders, we have like a one-sided black and white, which if you're thinking about how can you add things into something that's also cost effective, color printing, double-sided printing, more expensive. But we do that, and that way kids can also color it in. And we do for Love Parnassus, our romance book club or a subscription club, we have like a bookmark that is like a thing where they can like rate it and like write a little review about the book. So it's interactive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We don't do as much in the package itself. We do have a bookmark. We do have a postcard that we can throw in. And if people request wrapping, or if they say in the order comments it's a gift, we automatically wrap it. But we don't wrap everything because just cost effectiveness. But the thing that we do more often than not is we have like a quick response. It's like a Google Doc. Everything in my store has a Google Doc or sheet or whatever. I am very big on this. But it's a quick response that for every permutation of an order, people can just copy and paste. But if it is someone we know, if it is anything that we can personalize, we then just copy and paste that into the order, and then we make a little bit of like a personalized note that's like, thanks for the awesome order. It's so great to see you. How's everything going? We really love this book. We're excited for you to see it. So that literally costs us nothing, but except for like the 2 seconds of staff time to type something up.
That ties into our next thing of really paying attention to your frequent flyers. And we have one woman that found us in the pandemic, and she's turned into my best friend that I talk to every single day. She still never walked into our store. She orders all the time. We are close with her daughters, and we will send little stickers to them in the mail or little gifts for them. If there's a slow time, or being really thoughtful of setting time aside to thank the customers that really are helping you keep your doors open from afar is a huge deal. So we also have a frequent buyer program that we allow them to use online. So that's our way of sending them an online coupon. Do any of you have coupons that you send to frequent flyers?
We also have a loyalty program that we are able to do on our website. And there are a couple of customers that have just been, that are out of town, same thing, that have never come in. That we just we got new, we just asked, what's your shirt size? And we just sent everybody a shirt when we got new shirts. That is a really good customer, and we really appreciate it. And I think just always constantly, like when you're talking back and forth with them, you kind of get a rhythm and you get a personal. So sometimes I'll just be like, hey, Becky, you're going to love this. Like this, I just had a meeting with, my Penguin rep, and this is coming out, and I just want you to flag it, and she'll go ahead and pre-order it. So I think just having like the back and forth, especially like in the emails and stuff, is really important.
We have some that write recommendation tags for us also, that they'll send them to us in the mail.
Smart.
And so we have like where staff favorites are, we have like friends of the store favorites. And so we will have their little rec tags also there that makes them feel like they're really part of our store.
We do not have a frequent buyer program. We only do a local teacher discount, but we do have a coupon for that online. So teachers, no matter, in the Middle Tennessee area, if they are shopping with us, they are getting that discount. We don't do a frequent buyer thing though.
Thanks, Anna.
We have an in-store membership, and I did talk about like the conference, but we have an in-store membership that you can also buy online. And I don't know if any of you know this, but if you are on Indie Commerce, you can create a coupon code. So we have in our Indie Commerce, it's like Groovy Club, and has like, funky little letters and stuff so that somebody can't figure it out. But the customer just has to say that they're a member, and then we just manually go put in their coupon code. So we are able to extend that to people periodically. We might just like adjust the shipping on their order and give them a little discount on the shipping or whatever the case may be, just because they're good to us, so we're going to be good to them.
And you can set your coupons to only be good during a certain time.
Yeah.
So like we've done that for like Cyber Monday sale, where we did like, X% off signed books that we had a large stock of, and like set it just for a certain period of time.
So our last slide before we start our Q&A is going to be our call to action. Each one of us sent in a thing. Jamie, you did not, but it's okay.
I wrote down something. I saw this and I was like, oh, I got something.
So mine is something that I've said throughout is setting aside time to meaningfully send your book mail. It expands your community beyond your doors, and it creates a sense of a connection to your store from afar.
I was just talk to your neighbors, especially everybody in here. I just think that like up here, I've already like the eco shipping thing is brilliant. Like I'm gonna look into that. I just think the best thing about Winter Institute is chatting with each other. So just find out what everybody else in the store or in the room does.
I firmly believe that whatever you're doing, it can always be better. So always, I'd say find one way to make your process more efficient this year, whether that is starting to save boxes, starting to save packing material, doing the eco shipping thing, which also that is genius. Are you using stamps.com and you want to look at PyroShip or vice versa? Find one thing to do this year that kind of looks at a certain part of your process and maybe make it smoother.
Okay, the thing I just wrote down is put your tracking in multiple places. So with stamps.com, you can send an email tracking to every customer. You can also edit what that email looks like so that it's personalized. It doesn't have to look like just they've sent you a package, here's your tracking. So you can edit that. But then also when we send that email, sometimes it goes to spam. So we've started copying and pasting that and putting it in the order on Indie Commerce with our initial, whoever shipped it with our initials, just as a backstop. So that is like one actionable thing. That is a double step that you can track that order like multiple times.
Okay. So Anne is a reminder, and Anne will bring a microphone. So if any of you have questions, wait. Oh, and Courtney's got a microphone too. So wait for the microphone.
I'm like 101 shipping. Like right now I'm using Bookshop and haven't attempted to do any like individual mailings. So I wanted to ask, one, what type of mailer are you liking? Because I don't know why there's so many choices. And then the other question is, I think you can talk about this, but when you're setting your shipping, right, pricing, are you doing it like you'll get the order and like figure out put it on the scale and figure out the actual shipping, and or how do you do your shipping
without saying pricing?
Sure.
There's Indie Commerce is going to have a base amount, and you can change your base amount. And so for each book that is added is a certain amount that gets added to it. So if you don't know the weight, you can always look on Ingram, and Ingram shows you the weight of the book in there. So you can kind of play with it. Yeah.
And also whatever base price you set, make sure to factor in the cost of your packing material. So if we use a mailer, or we call them flappy flaps. I don't know what they're actually called. They like fold into this like strange origami thing, but like they're incredibly secure, and we have to order like a ridiculous amount. Like they're not feasible for small quantities. But so like we factor in the cost of like, what is the cost per item of the mailer or of the flappy flap. You also have to factor in tape guns. Not everyone knows how to use a tape gun. I've learned that the hard way. They're not intuitive. No. So make sure to take the time to train yourself and your staff on how to package properly and make sure that it doesn't come undone in the mail, because then that is not fun for anyone.
In terms of like the mailer themselves, size 5 is good for like 2 books and hardcover books, and size 2 is good for 1 trade paperback. So those are the 2 that we order the most, and we order them through stamps.com, and we just order them in bulk. You can order like 100 at a time. For size 2, you can order up to 500 at a time. They're in a small box. And then another thing that you're talking about tape, that's another actionable item. we had so many things get lost in the mail during the height of the pandemic that we started putting a piece of tape even on the sticky. Like we would fold the mailer and then we would put an additional piece of packing tape on that thing because people would say, it fell out in the mail. And I'm like, no, it didn't, because I double taped it.
Also, for 101 and starting, this is overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so start where you feel comfortable and slowly implement little things. So, you might not hand wrap every single thing when you first start. Just start by shipping things to get going, and then add things in as you feel more comfortable to grow it in that manner.
Okay, besides stamps.com, who else are you guys using to buy we've got our first big shipment of like 600 books going out, and I'm nervous about where to get them from. I'm definitely not going to use Uline for reasons we won't discuss. Mm-hmm. But I was wondering if you guys had some great, besides stamps.com. I'm trying to collect all these things.
Yeah.
And also, one other aside, when you ship out autographed books, do you take inscriptions, or is that just seems like it's right?
We have
to
cutoff
really screw
dates
that up.
of like, if you're going to get something like handwritten to you, you put it in the comments and here's the cutoff date, and there's no wiggle room. So if you order after the cutoff, you might be able to get a signed copy if there's something left over, but it's not going to be inscribed to the person.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it really depends on the author. Like the author has to say, I mean, it's not like we're going to offer that for Rebecca Mackay. I mean, like Rebecca Mackay is local to us and she'll come in and she'll sign books, but she's not going to inscribe. But then like our second biggest shipment last year was a local author who inscribed everything.
We do inscriptions and personalizations whenever possible, but a cutoff date is that is key. And also, like, we have Margaret Rankle as a local author for us, and people get personalizations from her, and she's happy to do it. But we also we check in with her and we make sure that we kind of know her travel schedule, and that way, again, communication with the customers, where if it's just an order for her, but we know that she's, traveling to see her new grandbaby, for the week, we'll let them know, hey, she'll be back in town next week. If this is really time sensitive, if it's a gift, let us know. We can send you a signed copy now. Otherwise, we'll hold it and wait for when she's back. We have a separate shelf for books like that.
We've also talking about the packing materials. Are you looking for mailers or boxes? Mailers. I know that we've done some stuff through Paper Mart, but not necessarily mailers. But we've done boxes through Paper Mart, and every once in a while we'll go to Staples, but the cost per is way, way, way higher than. Yeah, major shipment, I still would go through stamps.com.
We have used Uline when we're really pressed for time. I know, but sometimes we got to get it out the door. But Innovative Packing Solutions is, I believe, where we get the flappy flaps. But you have to order those well in advance, and you have to order a lot of them. And watch the YouTube for how to fold. Yes, or email me or something, because they are even less intuitive than a tape gun.
Hi, I didn't realize subscription boxes were a thing. We're a new bookstore. So I was curious to hear more about, have you ever played with sidelines in your subscription box? Mm-hmm. We're a romance specific. So I would think we wanted to do more if we were to have a romantasy box to add some of our romantasy sidelines. And how would you go about adding those with our book merch?
So we don't do that, because we do media mail for them. But I know a lot of stores do. We are far from the only store that has a subscription club. And so you would need to, one, know your membership amount, pick up what you're doing, factor in the price for that when you're building out the price. If you're looking at the cost of the book plus, a tchotchke that is up to X amount, factoring that in. And then making sure that you can get the right amount of those things in advance. When
we did have our romance box, we did. We said it was 2 trade paperback books and a sideline, and it was $50. that became prohibitively expensive because books became more expensive. But we would do like a greeting card or a magnet. 1 month we actually were able to do 3 books. So that month we just got some stickers from the publisher, and that was our sideline. But then we also went on Fair and found a greeting card that was going, like they were discontinuing. So we bought 50 of them for nothing. So yeah, I think you just have to find it in bulk. But yeah, for sure.
That one over here. Hey, I was curious if you allow for partial shipments of orders, like if you'll ship out what you do have in stock and what you're waiting for later, both in general and then specifically like with pre-orders.
I can answer this. So we put on our website on every single book that you're ordering, if you are ordering for shipping and you are including a pre-order, we will add an additional charge. So we have told people in advance that there will be an additional charge for partial shipments. That doesn't mean that we don't still reach out to people when that happens and say, are you okay with this extra $6 or whatever? But I mean, it's not always $6, but whatever. But yes, we do allow for partial shipments, but we also try to hold them as long as possible.
I do it on the front end, like if it's a pre-order, or even if I look into it and something's being reprinted, I'll just be like, hey, if you want us to go ahead and ship what we have in, just give us a call and we'll go ahead, and then we could also at the same time we'll go ahead and get your payment for when the pre-order comes out.
Yeah, and Indie Commerce lets you add money to the, reauthorize for more, but you probably want to get that approval from the customer, which is why we put it on there, like, hey, this is what's up. You're going to get charged more if you do this.
Indie Commerce 1.0 does not. They used to for a while, and then they've taken away that option.
Then apparently I'm on 2.0 and didn't even know it.
We do allow partial shipments, partly because kind of our governing ethos in terms of like e-commerce specifically is customer service. They're coming to us. We want them to be happy. If that means we eat a little bit of the shipping cost to do that, that to us is worth it in the long run because we're building a repeat customer. So kind of like, we don't necessarily do like a frequent flyer program. But if you order from us quite a lot, we might cut you a little bit of a deal with the shipping.
Exactly.
And we have like a process for it of like if it's going to be split in between 2 things, like, store direct to home or store pre-order, we kind of let that ride. But if it's going to be like 6 different shipments, then we kind of do it on a case by case basis.
Yeah. You also get to know your customers too. And some of them are just like, we're cool. Yeah. Ship them when they all get here. There's no rush, and then the new people, you're like, hey, just so you know, it's really case by case.
This person up here has had her hand up for the whole time.
We're trying to get the whole room
on the sidelines part, do you guys, just for day-to-day shipping, do you guys have any sidelines on your website? Because it seems like that is something that I'll do a post on what we just got in, and I'm like, it's in store only, and that is what everyone is asking about, is do you ship your sidelines?
My quick answer is no.
No.
And I try not to post our sidelines also because it turns into a nightmare. So it's also because we have 1.0 that we don't incorporate our sidelines onto our website. But if we have merch drop, then we'll do, online, they'll call us and we'll run their numbers and stuff like that. So it's a case by case basis, but no.
We are in the process. We have all of our branded stuff. So people are ordering sweatshirts and hats and stuff. And we do a lot of puzzles from True South Puzzle Company, which is based in Nashville. And we buy bulk of that. And there's like a Knoxville specific puzzle. So if we have a ton, that's the thing about sidelines. Like, I don't want to put anything on the website that we don't have plenty of. So it's really just right now, it might expand. It's just stuff that's Union Ave branded and True South puzzles right now.
We do the same thing. We have like a local game called Q-List that is like consistently one of our top sellers. And it's just made by a local guy. And everyone loses their minds over it. So we had to add it as a custom product. And same thing. We have to bulk up on stuff. And especially during the holidays, it's really nice. We do a catalog. And so we'll pick 5 sideline items that we order up on that we're confident that we're going to have stock up through the season. And that way we can promote those. But for the most part, most of the sidelines are not online.
Yeah, kind of same. We don't put shirts on there just because of sizing. We never know what we're gonna have, and it's all custom products, like for us, like our branded stuff. And so we'll put like a Women and Children First magnet or sticker, and then they have to pick. They have to say which one. It's the same price, but if we run out or something, we just have to cancel it off the order. But the same token, if somebody puts an order comment and they say, hey, do you have this thing? I can manually add it. So if they see something on our Instagram or something.
And then second question really quick. When you have day-to-day orders of just like a book you have in stock, how do you manage if it's like they order the book online, but then by the time your buyer or whoever's over the fulfilling orders tries to get to it, it's gone? How do you guys manage that sort of situation?
Are you talking about you're ordering from Ingram or?
No, like it's on the shelf. You have the book. We haven't started we've only done drop shipping thus far. So if the book is on the shelf and you are doing orders online where if someone can order it and you guys are grabbing off the shelf and shipping it, if someone has bought that book before you could get to it,
It makes more sense in your mind of it happening so much, but in reality, it rarely happens like that. That's a dream to be like, ooh.
I'm also the buyer, so like when I'm doing it, I just throw it on an order. So I think it just depends. But you're absolutely right. Like it will happen sometimes the same way. Like sometimes you're looking everywhere for a book and a customer's holding it, like another customer's holding it, but it's not that often.
No.
And when it does happen, it's the same thing as if it were in the store. You just communicated with the customer. Hey, I'm so sorry, we sold out in the time that it took us to place your order. We're happy to drop ship it for you, blah, 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 blah. And 99% of the time, they're totally fine.
Yep.
Yeah, and our website, we have the settings set so that it says recently on our shelves. So it doesn't say it is on our shelves. And so we will just message them and say, we've ordered this for you. And we do a single hold reserve from Ingram under that order number. And then it comes with our next Ingram order, and then we just ship it out. And sometimes we just send it directly from Ingram, depending on where it is.
We have about 5 minutes left. I just want to let everyone know.
Hello, from the back. For your day-to-day like orders outside of subscriptions, just somebody orders a book and you want to send it from the store. Do you just use a regular mailer? Do you put anything on the outside? Do you do any sort of branded mailer? Do you do like a stamp or a sticker? Anything to show it's from your store? And if so, like where do you get them from?
From the publishers. They will send them to you, or in the ABA white boxes, you'll get them. Or if you order, kids' books from publishers, we get them in the mail. And then some days, depending on how our moods are how chaotic our stickering is on the boxes. Yeah, on the outside.
And you can order your own custom stickers through customstickers.com. And you can, do the size, do the whatever. That's where we do ours from.
When we have a bookstore crawl every year for Indie Bookstore Day, and it's like a passport, and a lot of the time we get stickers for that, and then we have tons and tons of stickers left over. So as long as we have those stickers left over, we'll just stick it on the outside of the package. But also stamps.com will allow you to upload your logo as the return address. It looks kind of funky, but yeah, you can have your logo as alongside. It says Jamie Thomas, Women and Children First. I don't know why it has my name, but whatever.
If you also are participating in Independent Bookstore Day, there is an option to sign up for the roll, and it's like I Heart My Indie Bookstore. That's also really cute on the packages, and they last for.
Also, if you have an artist in store, like let them go nuts with a Sharpie. Like we did that over the pandemic too. Yeah.
Hi. So I'm someone who's also starting out just shipping. We're gonna start that hopefully next month. We've only been open since October. I'm curious if you have if you have any advice for places that are newly shipping. What is the one product that you would suggest? Either an account with Pirate Ship or what kind of tape gun? What's the one product where you would be this changed our lives and
quiet tape.
Quiet
tape that does not squeak and some of the tape does not smell nice.
No.
But also make sure that you get a like stamps or Pirate Ship. Either one of those is going to be a game changer.
Yeah.
And really take the time to go through the website and check out the different settings. Because I feel like we used stamps.com before the pandemic. But when it started and we were shipping everything, it was just flying by the seat of our pants. It was just me and the two owners in the store, and everybody else was at home. And it was just like, I was a shipping station, and I just did everything that I could. And I wish I had taken the time to go through everything in advance so that I just didn't know what I didn't know.
You can schedule like a one-on-one with whoever manages, like if you have any commerce or book manager, like whoever your website is through, if you can do like a tutorial with them, or like if they have any webinars on like how to do e-commerce and to set up custom products and stuff, that's really helpful.
So we have time for one more quick question before we're going to end here.
Hi, I'm Miriam. I have actually a community question. I live in a really small town about an hour outside of DC, and we have a PO box. So we can't have USPS delivered to our store, and we can't have USPS pick up our packages from our store. So if anybody lives in a small town and has a PO box and deals with this issue, I would love to talk to you. I'm wearing like a floral jumpsuit. You can come find me, and I would love to trade cards. That's been our biggest issue with shipping, is just a lot of hauling stuff down the street to the USPS facility.
We schlep a lot too. Yeah. We're Sherpas, let's be honest.
I think you can also set USPS pickups. Are they always reliable? No. Get someone's cell phone number. You will use it.
Make friends with your local fella or lady.
Okay. So I really want to thank all of you for coming out. Thank you to Ingram, our lead sponsor. Please try to rate this on the app. It really does help out the ABA staff. We're all going to be up here and hang out for a few minutes. If we didn't get to answer your question, feel free to come up here.
Thank you for listening to Booked, the bookstore education podcast brought to you by the American Booksellers Association. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app. Additional educational resources can always be found on the ABA site at www.bookweb.org. Happy reading!